Welcome back to Constant Sports. This is the Friday Five, where we break down the biggest sports business stories of the week and explain why they actually mean and what they mean for the industry. So we've got Wall Street entering athlete finance, we got private equity circling MLB, we got the Wrexham model going global, World Baseball Classic driving economic impact, and then a Major League battle that could affect the prediction markets. And so if you want to stay ahead in the sports business world, keep a tab on Constant Sports, and let's get into it. JP Morgan launches the Athlete Council, featuring Tom Brady, Sue Bird, Dwayne Wade, a number of other high-level athletes. And this is really a massive signal in the space, we think. So these banks are no longer waiting for athletes kind of post-career where they can retire and manage their wealth. They're moving this whole thing upstream into this NIL era we're even seeing, where athletes are earning money at 18, 19, 20 years old. So at Constant Sports, we think this is kind of a three-pronged approach where they have this early client acquisition, plus this long-term wealth relationships, and building these athlete-specific financial ecosystems within sports. And so these athletes are no longer just clients, they're becoming asset classes with lifetime value. And so obviously Wall Street wants in early, and they're doing just that. Then we're headed into the MLB becoming kind of a private equity entry point. As a few weeks ago we saw at the San Diego Padres, a few groups coming up, minority stakes, and then a bunch of people trying to get involved. And so these firms and private equity companies are kind of circling these MLB teams. Why, we think? To answer that, we think the relative value of the NFL, NBA teams kind of still offers this lower-ish, maybe not the NFL teams, but MLB lower valuation, but similar single long-term upside tied to these massive media right deals, real estate, and brand equity. And so for the PE firms, there's a few things that are coming up, which is they can buy into somewhat of these undervalued asset classes, improve operations, maybe capture some media growth as well. Side note, I think that's one of the biggest pieces, is the kind of the media side of it, as eyeballs are everything nowadays, and driving these media rights deals and whatnot. And then they can obviously exit at higher values, as we've seen. And so MLB might not be the same flash internationally, I suppose, as the NFL, but does have just as much valuable as kind of these predictable economics. And it's for private equity, predictability is everything. Staying in kind of this international model, we have the Wrexham model from Ryan Reynolds and Rob McEnany are looking to replicate this model in the country of Colombia, where sports ownership is evolving. And so Wrexham just wasn't a football story, it was this masterclass on the content strategy, combining storytelling, community engagement, and obviously on-field performances. The key piece, I think, kind of goes untold, is such a good story, but also the fact that Wrexham's winning and going up in league and getting better players is makes obviously a better story. No one wants to watch a losing team. And so as we're seeing this, clubs are built for these global audiences, not just the local fans. So we'll see if they can do it again in Colombia, and then in the group that got that ownership deal. And so ownership is no longer just about kind of these local fans, but it's about owning the attention worldwide. And staying in the worldwide vein, World Baseball Classic just wrapped up and had some massive economic impact. The World Baseball Classic drove 2,500% surge in business travel to Miami. So that's a massive economic impact that Miami had. And so these major international events are really booming, and they're really becoming these tourism drivers, hospitality boosters, and citywide economic engines. So we're seeing that with FIFA coming up, the World Cup, we're seeing that LA Olympics. We're going to see that a bunch here coming up soon. So these leagues and governing bodies are realizing the global tournaments don't just create viewership, they create this real-world revenue ecosystem. And the World Baseball Classic is proving it's not just a baseball event, but a global economic catalyst. And then closing it out is Arizona files criminal charges against Kelsey. And this one's going to be in an important legal battle in sports right now, because the core question is, are prediction markets financial products or gambling? And they've been kind of holding this position, they're not gambling. If they're financial products, and they fall under federal regulation. If they're gambling, they fall under state laws. And so this outcome is going to, this case rather, could determine how sports prediction markets scale, how companies operate, and then whether a new category of sports financial products emerges. So it's going to be a real structural battle, see where it goes from here. And that was the Constant Sports 5, where we covered the top 5 sports business stories we saw at Constant Sports this week. And so if you want to stay ahead of all this, make sure to follow along at Constant Sports. I'll see you guys next week.